This is King Bay once again. I did part two. Um, I'm gonna hit y'all up with part three. So this is a ghosting in the system and protecting your your private rights and your private property. So let's get into it. So we already know what a person is. So it says person has the same meaning in Division C of this section of the revised code, including government entities. Let's go here. Statutory rules. This is used as used in any statute unless other definition is provided in that statute or related to statute. Persons, right here. Property. Let's look at. It says will. That's why I said the will is one of the most. Um, it says United States includes all states. Um, State, when applied to part of the United States, include any state, District of Columbia, territory, or insular possession thereof, and any area subject to legislative authority of the United States of America. This state or the state means the state of Ohio. So they tell you what all this stuff means. So you can go here to show you where the United States mean all states, um, in the District of Columbia and all of that stuff where they're talking about. Um, and written or in writing include any representation of words, letters, symbols, or figures. This provision does not affect any law related to signatures. So just letting y'all know, let's go back. So you could go to the Ohio um, um, revised code and look at this information under this. I'm just dropping this information for you. So when you look at the Trade Secret Acts and you understand this, you got to understand everything is about what a trust is about is asset protection. All this status correction stuff, all of this stuff that people are screaming, it's not really clear. When they talking about getting your Moorish identity and all of that, I understand what they mean by that. But when somebody telling you about you correcting your status and stuff like that, that's too broad. That's too broad. Securing your nationality, that's another thing. So with this information, I'm kind of trying to show people how to ghost the system and how to protect your property at the same time. Because you got to understand that. So when you dealing with contracts, right? Now, under your jurisdiction, you can create and define anything you want to. I already talked about this. Let me go through. Now, anytime somebody attach, like I said before, if you got your stuff secured through a contract, maybe it's a licensing agreement, and you got it all in the contract, and then you create a bond, because a bond ain't nothing but evidence of an indebtedness, which is evidence of a contract. That's all the bond is used for. So just giving you that, like I said before, anytime somebody use your property and they don't disclose it and they use it in a way that is not prescribed by the rules and the law, in which the Quran has told you when the Most High is ordering your footsteps, He tell you how to use this information. So you got to get familiar with your Quran or your God to see what He say about how you use the information in your religious books or your books. So what I'm saying to you, brothers, about the Quran, we don't do usury with stuff that we don't do. So according to the Circle 7 Quran and stuff like that, you need to understand really what's really going on. So once you protect your intellectual property, you got your contract done, you got your bond, which is evidence now is filed with the UCCs. Okay. Anybody who attach an account or anything to that intellectual property without your consent and they using it in a manner in which they are unjustly enriching themselves, that's theft, that's deception. So let's look at the revised code on that. Let me break down the law so y'all brothers and sisters can see this information, man. Because I don't think nobody bringing it to y'all the way it need to be done. We ain't gonna even, I'm gonna get into defamation too. Stolen property. No person shall receive, retain, or dispose of property of another knowingly, unknowing, or having reasonable cause to believe that the property have been attained through commission of a theft. So let's go over to here. Theft. No person with the purpose to deprive the owner of the property or service shall knowingly obtain or exert control over either the property or service in any of the following ways: without the consent of the owner or person authorized to give the consent, beyond the scope of express or implied consent of the owner, or otherwise to give consent. You see this? And by deception, threat, or by intimidation. These all practice of theft. So when these credit card, these banks, all these people are using it, that's why I say when you attach your name and you secure your property rights with that name, they attach these counts. You will have a right to look at their books. And there ain't no protection because now you can pierce the veil of their trust because they got your trust and it can be deemed considered as stolen property. Now you can pierce the veil of their trust. Now because they was untrustworthy. They doing deceptive practices with your name, making money, and you ain't getting a cut. That's why you got to understand contract. UCCs ain't gonna protect you if you don't understand how to contract. I don't give a damn about the UCCs. Y'all running out here talking about the UCCs, the secure party creditor stuff. Y'all don't even know how to contract. The UCCs is not gonna save you because you ain't gonna know how to win your claim. The UCCs does a couple of things. It gives notice, and then you get to assign people to the property. So it's a record of who controlling the property. Y'all don't really understand the purpose of everything that's going on. You following other people's footsteps, and you finding yourself in situations where you don't even know how to utilize the information where you can protect your private property. Private property can be used in the public. But the thing about it is, it has to be perfected and secured. Your rights got to be secured within the property once it's in the public, in which then it can be identified on how to use it. That's why the money is being used in the public and in the private at the same time because it's contracted. And the bankers secured their rights in the intellectual property called the US dollar. Same difference. You got to know how to do the same thing. You got to control how that name is being used because you the author of that name. And the author, you are the sovereign and you have the authority in which you can give other people to be the authorized representative. And then you got to know how to use your attorney at law versus your attorney in fact, in which your attorney at law, he works for the court, know how to present the information to the court, and the attorney in fact know how to go in and make a claim and finish it up. See? Let me keep it pushing, man. Unjust enrichment. An unjust enrichment claim arising from a uniform commercial code transaction that has a specific limitation period must be brought within 3 years of its accrual. You understand? Let's go here. I'm just going to show y'all this. I'm going to go here. It says damages recoverable except to the extent that a material and procedural change of position to acquire knowledge or reason to know of misappropriation render a monetary recovery equitable or complain of civil action entitled to recovery of damage for misappropriation. Here we go right here, man. Damage recoverable. Now, let's go actions for rescissions and damages. Let's go here. Actions for rescissions and damages. A purchaser a purchaser has a cause of action and may seek either or both of the following. An individual action rescind the agreement by giving written notice to the seller within 3 years of the date of the agreement and recover all sums paid to the seller last fair market value at the time of delivery of any goods supplied by the seller that are not returned to the seller. So the court may award to the prevailing party a reasonable attorney fee limited to the work reasonably performed if either of the following apply. Recover damages or appropriate relief in the class action under Civil Rule 23 as amended. If the purchaser is found to have been deemed and have been damaged, if the purchaser is found to have been damaged, recover up to 3 times the amount of the actual damages or $10,000, whichever is greater. I'm just giving y'all this. See, y'all got to understand how this stuff works when you dealing with these contracts, when you dealing with these entities. You got to know how to do it because if you don't, you're gonna be in trouble. So, first of all, when I talk about ghosts in the system, they don't supposed to have like the living man. He don't supposed to put this information out there. He supposed to protect it. He supposed to not expose himself where all that stuff can go on. And you gotta learn how to contract your way into a situation like that where the attorney can't even bring your name up because y'all got these confidentiality agreements. Y'all got these trade secrets. Y'all got all this information going on. That's what I'm saying. All that stuff can be in the contract, and then ain't nothing but a bond, but nothing but the evidence of indebtedness, in which you then utilize to secure as evidence. And then if you have to bring the contracts into play, then you ask the court to seal off the information because it's confidential. You feel me? Where no other party can know this ain't for the public view. You understand? You got to understand this information in its entirety. See, they got you thinking that they can pull you into their jurisdiction based upon discharging the debt and all of that, when actually they're using your name to make money. They owe you. That's theft by deception. And you gotta create your contracts in which you gotta let them know what's going on, where they gotta give you and pay you for how they using your intellectual property to secure intellectual property of another, and that their benefit off of your efforts to run a corporation that you're not getting compensated for at all. Only thing you getting is benefits and privileges. And you can't own nothing because everything is not registered to you, it's registered to them. That's why you gotta understand this stuff, man. What's the difference between a contract and a bond? Oh, shit. As nouns, the difference between a contract and a bond is that a contract is an agreement between two or more parties to perform a specific job or work order, often temporary or fixed duration, and usually governed by a written agreement, while bonds is a peasant. A churl or a bond can be legally evidence of a long-term debt by which the issuer, the borrower, is obliged to pay the interest when due and repay the principal at maturity as specified on the face of the bond certificate. The rights of the holder are specified in the bond indenture, which contain legal terms and conditions under which the bond was issued. Bonds are available in two forms: registered bonds and bearer bonds. As objectives, the difference between a contract and a bond is that a contract is obsolete, contracted, affiance, betrothed, while bonds is subject to the tenure called bondage. It sounds like that's slavery, baby. You putting yourself in voluntary servitude. Verbs, the difference between contract and bond is that a contract is to draw together or nearer, to shorten, narrow, or lessen, while bond is to connect, secure, or tie with bond, to bind. So they just telling you some of the language definitions between bond as it being a verb, an adjective, and nouns. You feel me? So you can look at this stuff and understand a bond ain't nothing but evidence of indebtedness in which can be used in the court of law. A peasant, a poor farmer or low social status who owns or rent a small piece of land for cultivation, chiefly in historical use or reference to subsistence, subsistence farming in poor countries. I'm getting a little sleepy. I'm just showing you. Security perfected upon attachments, and then assignment of accounts or payable tangible debt does not by itself or in conjunction with the assignment to the same assignee transfer a significant part of the assigner's outstanding account or payable intangibles, a sale of a payment intangible, a sale of a promissory note. This is what they're doing, y'all. A security interest of the collecting bank arising under this section. What they doing is they get you the contract, they getting this stuff off on these promissory notes, and then they selling them and doing all this stuff and making money and even giving you a dime. And they using these instruments. You feel me? But the instrument can't move without a signature. So here's just a bond that can be used. This is a sample bond number certificate. You just got to know how to use it. So when you go to the system, you got to know how to stay totally private. You shouldn't be out here putting all your information out in the public. That's how you get stroke. You should be trying to remain anonymous. You should be being very confidential in your information where nobody get to know who you is and know your stuff. And then you supposed to then understand how to secure your private property before you bring it out in the public for public use. This is King L Bay. I'm signing off. You got to understand what you're doing with this information. So this is ghosting the system and protecting private property, either real or personal. I'm signing out. Peace and love. I'll probably be doing more videos, but I'm trying to keep them short. Peace.